Among the hormones that our body produces, the stuff that is produced by the thyroid is the most important one. How do we measure this? Typically, they are measured with what is known as TSH. When you ask for blood test, you can request for a TSH measurement, and TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. If it is too high, then you got hypothyroidism. If it is too low, then you got hyperthyroidism. I know it sounds kind of backwards, but that's how the thyroidism is actually detected and measured. So there is an optimal level. However, most people do not suffer from hyperthyroidism. Most people suffer from hypothyroidism. So this whole thing is connected through our pituitary and hypothalamus glands. From the hypothalamus, that's in the brain, and the pituitary, which is also in the brain, you get TRH, TSH, that comes into our thyroid gland, which produces T3 and T4, which then goes into the peripheral tissues. But it also has a feedback loop. So when there is too much or too little, it sends out a signal to the hypothalamus and the pituitary, and that adjusts it accordingly. And that's how this whole business of optimal amount comes into play. Now, thyroid affects the entire body. As I mentioned, this is the single most important hormone in our body that affects our day-to-day living. It regulates, for example, the heart function. It helps control body weight. It helps control body temperature, muscle strength, and above all, the mood. So the pituitary gland sends out this signal to the thyroid to produce the amount for each of these functions. So it's not just one single thing, it's a whole range of things. And that's why I call it the single most important gland in your body. Now, the distribution of TSH in the population itself, it goes between roughly from slightly above 0 to all the way 5 or 6 when you measure them. And if you look at the distribution, it's a skewed distribution. That is, it tilts to the left of this picture. Typically, these kinds of body measures, when you look at for the entire population, they are what is known as normal distribution, should be called Gaussian distribution. In the case of TSH, it is definitely not a Gaussian distribution. The other important factor is what happens as you get older. The amount of TSH that your body produces goes up, and that's normal part of the aging process. A larger and larger proportion of people tend to have higher and higher amount of TSH as they get older, and it is especially true for women. For women, it is even more pronounced. The question that arises is this: okay, we know all about thyroid, this, that, and all that. Is there something we can do about it with respect to doing some yoga exercise? The answer is yes. So what do? We do Sarvangasana. And that's the picture that you have on the left to show you what you need to do in that specifically. So essentially, what you do is the following. You hold the lower half of the body up and the upper half of the body down on the ground, and you support your body with your arms. That serves two purposes. One is to obviously hoist your body up. The other is to restrict the blood flow in your arm. And that does the magic. And that's it. So do we have any evidence of that? Why, yes. We have lots of evidence now which shows that Sarvangasana actually works. These are scientifically measured evidence based on your TSH and T4 measurement.